As we're gradually moving back to opening schools and businesses and, of course, our in person interactions, I want to remind you this is all time with cold and flu season getting going. Staying hydrated is key to helping your body deal with the added stress and with the upcoming flu season. My regular fans have heard me talk about a product called Hydrolyte for a long time now. It's an amazing rapid rehydration drink. It's a mix that, well, we're obsessed with here. I'm excited to announce they've just released Hydrolyte Plus Immunity just in time for cold and flu season. Hydrolyte Plus Immunity starts with their fast absorbing electrolytes and adds a host of immune boosting ingredients. Each single serve, easy pour drink mix contains 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C and 300 milligrams of elderberry extract, creates what is hopefully immune boosting formula that's high in antioxidants and zinc. Combining this with Hydrolyte's 7 key electrolytes, it's a fantastic way to stay proactive and properly hydrated. Hydrolyte Plus Immunity comes in convenient, easy to pour powder sticks that rapidly dissolve in water and make a great tasting drink that has 75% less sugar than your typical sports drink. It uses all natural flavors and it is gluten-free, dairy-free, caffeine-free, non-GMO, and it is vegan. And you can find Hydrolyte Plus by visiting hydrolyte.com/Dr. Drew. Again, that's HYDRALYTE.com/DRDRW. And be sure to use our code Dr. Drew 25 at checkout for a special discount.
Hey everyone, it's a dose of Dr. Drew. And speaking of Hydrolyte, Drew's getting his colonoscopy next week.
Oh, it's funny you would say that. I was thinking the same thing.
And I'm getting it in January. So.
And I will be taking lots of Hydrolyte in anticipation of that. Because I have something called Lynch syndrome, I get this done every year. And the last 2 years, particularly last year, Hydrolyte changed the entire experience. It made it tolerable.
Yeah, and also we have a guest coming on the show on the 16th, Melissa Rivers.
Yes.
The same day you're getting your colonoscopy. So
right.
we didn't move it.
Good.
You're gonna power through this year. I know you're good at that, but it might be really interesting to see what you're like after propofol.
All I can tell you is that I used to get Versed for these colonoscopies, and I remember you, Susan, took me out to lunch one time after the Versed anesthesia, and we're halfway through my lunch, you leaned into me and said, "That's the third time you've asked me that." And I thought, oh Jesus,
I don't care, it's all right. I'm sure
so you gotta have to keep me
colonoscopy before,
you're gonna have to keep me in line. So all right, so a lot to talk about today. I see you guys already going off on the lockdown and Governor Newsom's recommendations.
Oh boy,
a lot of things to think about here. Numbers are shitty,
but we're going to talk about it after the guest.
Yes,
right?
we're having a guest in here first. Let me just say though, I want to thank Joe and Casey, who both came on my podcast earlier today, and how much I really enjoyed talking to them. They really were.
When?
We took calls today on the Dr. Drew podcast when we were recording,
nice.
And I sort of posted it up on Locals, and Joe and Casey showed up and were very, very engaged, very entertaining for me. So
they are our peeps.
Yeah, and in fact, those of you, if you're Joe or Casey, if you're a fan of that podcast or the Corolla World, Gary was like deeply impressed. Like, well, next time we're just going to rely on Locals.
I have to tell you something though. They had their own Zoom meeting. They're doing it on Locals for their friends because I guess they can't get enough of it and they love it so much. And so their friends all get together. And the other day when I was alone, I went on.
I know, and one of us should always try to pop in on that. So if you guys do that again, let us know.
And then I drove home and I went on again and they kept me company on the freeway.
That's fantastic.
I know, it's kind of cute, huh?
It's fun.
Yeah, I like our fans a lot.
So our guest today is someone with whom I have a personal connection, but it's not the personal connection that had me bring her in here. Mia Burke, who we'll bring right up on the screen here, has a project called The Dinner Table Talk, thedinnertabletalk.com. And her father, who's a good friend of mine, sent me the website, and I was immediately intrigued. And I thought, wow, here is an insight into what Mia, your generation, is thinking about in very clear terms. And I love the whole project. So tell us about it, what prompted you doing it, and what people can learn by showing up.
So basically, the Dinner Table Talk is an educational blog for teenagers where I kind of got the idea that disinformation is obviously abundant right now, especially in COVID, where people are online getting their information. They can't really get out of the house.
Yep.
And specifically, I was looking at my generation, and they were just kind of like suffocating and on all these false reports being put out. And I couldn't stand by and let that happen. So I kind of got this idea where I would get some of my friends and we would start writing articles specifically free of bias. And we would put those out and have our other friends read those articles, so you're not drowning on all these opinionated.
And by the way, Mia, they used to call that journalism. That used to be what that was. But we can't say that again.
My mom always says that I'm like bringing back the 80s or something weird like that.
Or how about just the discipline of journalism? Now, to be fair to journalism, back in the 1850s, it used to be very opinion, very biased, very distorted. And then it developed itself into what it considered a profession. And then what's happening now is frankly disgusting. So that was one thing that intrigued me about what you were doing. How's it going? How's that project shaping up?
It's honestly doing great. I found a lot of kids that are super interested in it. And it's working out really well. I have about like 30 articles put out already, and it's been like a month. And so it goes like appetizers, main courses, food fight, and then desserts. And so it's kind of formatted like you're on this utopian online dinner table chat where, you go online, you see all these sources that we're putting out, and we write these articles, and then kids find these, and when they sit down at their dinner table, they can talk about it with their friends and family and kind of get the conversation started and in a better way, instead of just saying stuff that they see on the internet that isn't true.
Right. And how do you sort of I don't want to use a too strong a word, but how do you maintain the objectivity of what's in there? I mean, do they have to give their sources? Are they giving both sides and then interpreting? How are they doing that?
So what I've done is I'll start off explaining food fight specifically. That's where I have two people that are normally on different sides of the political spectrum, and they'll specifically argue what they believe in.
Yeah.
And say I resonate with this side. I'm arguing this. We just did one on systemic racism, and I had two people argue on that. And so that's specifically looking at opinions and bias, and they put all of their sources so everyone can see where they're getting this information obviously from. And so that's specifically for educational purposes, where you're looking at why someone has this opinion and why they think this way, instead of just someone saying their opinion and not really have any thought behind it. But the rest of the website is just straight fact. It's kind of hard to say that because that doesn't happen very often anymore. But the whole point of it is that I give my friends or the people writing for it, they have this 4-page kind of Google Doc that I made, and it tells them what biases, examples of sources that they can't use, and then a really long list of sources that are obviously credible that they can use. And they write an article, and then I go through and I edit it, and I work with 2 other girls, and none of us are really solidified in our political opinions, so we're not walking into something with lots of bias, and it's pretty easy for us. I think we're at this age where we're very lucky that we're young and we haven't been.
And so hold. Let people are asking this question. You're what age and what year in school?
Oh, I'm 16 and I'm a junior in high school.
And are your feelings about the material that's out there in the press, let's call it, or in the media, do a lot of your peers share this feeling?
I think they do. They were kind of hopeless in a sense. They're like, what can we do? There's disinformation everywhere. There's not much we can do. And I saw this as an opportunity that there is something we can do. We're the next generation that's growing up. I think we're the best to maybe combat it and make it generational and bring back, information and news with facts in it, which is obviously something very hard to tackle, but it doesn't hurt to try.
Yeah, I want to talk more about that here, but if somebody listening or watching or on the stream here wants to get involved as a contributor, or maybe they have a family member who's your age, what are the criteria and how does someone get involved?
Honestly, you don't need to be the smartest person in the room. It doesn't matter how much you know about what's going on in the world. You can know absolutely nothing. You could know a lot of what's going on. It doesn't really matter. If you want to reach out and you want to write, I have an email and I have the Instagram for it, and you can reach out and then I'll talk to you about it. And I have my other friends that we can discuss it with. But
so what
criteria?
Is there just an email at thedinnertabletalk.com or something?
Yeah, or contact at thedinnertabletalk.
Okay, so the email is contact at thedinnertabletalk.com, or you can just go to the website. I'm sure there's a contact icon or something, right? Yeah, and just be a part of this. Those of you that are regular viewers of The Dose, I want you to think about family members Mia's age that might benefit from engagement with this, because something about this feels so healthy to me, and it was kind of, I don't want to say an inspiration, but it was a relief, frankly, to see someone your age taking matters into their own hands. So what is and so the other thing I wanted to know, immediately wanted to know, was what the world looks like for you and your peers. Hang on a second. Susan's making a technical problem here.
I'm sorry.
So
I thought I turned it down. I'm sorry.
No, we heard it.
I'm sharing it on Periscope.
Well done. But I want to know, I want to drill into a little bit what the world looks like from your guys' perspective. You know, I mean, school's been shut down. You've been ripped away from your social environments. You've been relegated to, essentially, after all of us telling you forever, stay off screens. Now screens are the only way you can get in touch with anybody or with school. I mean, what does it look like? I mean, you are right there in that sort of prime age where this is something you'll remember forever. And it seems to me it will shape how you approach a lot of what's ahead. So what are you feeling? What's going on? What does it look like?
I mean, I think it's very overwhelming, especially being so young. And no other generation has grown up specifically behind screens. We're kind of guinea pigs for this going on.
Mm-hmm.
And at least for me personally, I just felt very hopeless. I felt like there was a lot of negativity and just a lot of political and social rife all over social media. Even when I would go on social media and I would, go on to just see what my friends are posting, and I would see politics. I would see people arguing. It was just a lot of hostility. And I think it is really overwhelming for my generation. And so the whole concept of my website is to kind of get rid of that hostility and make, retaining facts and information not something that needs to be so hostile.
By the way, I'm looking at the stream here that people want to know, is there an age spectrum you're looking for as contributors?
The motto is kind of like created by teens for teens. So kind of being a teenager, obviously, if you want to write.
Like 13 to 20, essentially.
Yeah.
More or less, yeah. And so you've used hostility and hopeless. I mean, that's a crazy thing to sort of look out in the world and imagine what you're going into. Are you excited about anything? Do you look forward to college, or does that look like an empty set that you can't really rely on? What is the near term and then the long term future feel like? Not just look like, but what does it feel like to you guys?
That's a big question. I think it's different for everyone. I mean, I can't obviously speak for my entire generation, but for me specifically, I'm excited for college, but it's weird because we're living the same day over and over again. So it's kind of hard to imagine what's going to happen because I'm kind of stuck in this loop.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm hoping is that, maybe people mature a bit online. That's kind of hard to ask, but mature when involving themselves and politics and stuff going on. That's obviously not going to happen immediately, but I just feel like if there's a generation growing up in the midst of social media, we need to teach that generation how to navigate that. And obviously I can't do that all by myself, but I don't know. That's just kind of the concept of it. I want to help kids navigate social media in regards to retaining information.
Right. One thing that I've always been concerned with is that, and this is not just your generation, but the one ahead of you too, is they seem gravely confused about information versus knowledge. Those are two different things. Do you get a sense of that? What those differences are?
I think social media has created this false sense of entitlement. Just because you have access to everything in the entire world through your phone doesn't mean you should. And that doesn't grant you this sort of validation. I don't know. And I think a lot of people think it does. That if you have all this news at your fingertips, that doesn't mean you're, retaining it in the right way. I don't know how to say that, but I think it's just like a false sense of entitlement. I think that's the best way I can put that.
Yeah, to me, you ever heard of the Dunning-Kruger effect?
I have not.
You might want to do an article on the Dunning-Kruger effect. I think you would find it fascinating. It's essentially the phenomenon that has somebody stand up in American Idol and sing like total shit and say, wasn't that good? Wasn't that great? And really believe it. It's a cognitive distortion. It's a primary cognitive distortion. And what we see Dunning-Kruger is when somebody has a passing information about a topic, They believe that they know a lot about it. They believe they have expertise in it until they keep learning about it. Then they fall off a cliff, and then they slowly come back, and that's where real knowledge is, way over here. But in the early stages, when they're just acquiring the information that they've never seen before, their sense is they're awakening to something. They really know something that other people don't know. But the reality is they're just scratching the surface on a very complex phenomenon that requires knowledge to fully understand. And that's called Dunning-Kruger. And it's what I see rampant these days. Rampant.
Maybe I will write an article on that.
Yeah, Dunning-Kruger effect. I'm looking at, if you don't mind, I'm going to look at our stream here and see if these guys, a lot of Dunning-Kruger talk on the stream already. Tom Cigar says, hello, my name is Dunning-Kruger. And then Molly asked, the people who think they know the most but don't know anything are the most dangerous. They can be dangerous. I'm not saying they're all the most dangerous. Yeah. Let's see. Sorry, Mia. Hang on. I'm just looking at all their posts here and see if there's anything. Do you want to telegraph for us while I'm looking through this thread? Is there anything people can look forward to that you know is coming up in upcoming posts?
I do. The food fights were doing really well. I think people really liked engaging with those. I posted one yesterday and it did the best out of anything I've ever posted. And so I think we're planning on talking about like the vaccines and what was it? We came up with a new topic for it. I think it was talking about whether or not the pandemic is going to be a sense of unification for the country or deterioration.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to have people argue on either side of
Interesting. How do you come up with the topics?
So I have two friends that work with me. They're super smart. I love them. And they're all pretty like moderate. They're not super involved in politics.
Should we call them out? Should you tell who they are?
Oh yeah, it's my friend Emily Katz, who does social media and communications, and my friend Rihanna Mystery, and she does like insights analysis. She's really good with computer science, so she helps me with all that.
Now, you mentioned that you did a post or what do you call a food fight on systemic racism. Are you getting adequate representation from multiple ethnicities and nationalities and other backgrounds? Or I'm sure you'd encourage that, but are you so far getting enough engagement?
So far I have. I've had a lot of people reach out to me from different schools, different grade levels. They're all different types of people, honestly. And it's really nice. It's kind of refreshing knowing that a lot of different people want to engage with this. It's not just like my central friend group. There's a bunch of people writing for it that I didn't even know them in the first place. That's really cool. But we're trying to reach out to more people because for systemic racism, we wanted someone to speak on that. Like, obviously, if I'm just having like two white kids like from where I live,
right,
it's not the best representation. I'm totally aware of that. And so we were talking about how we wanted to get, people who are obviously more close to the situation. It's just kind of hard as of right now because it's been up for like a month.
Yeah. It occurs to me it's also, I mean, it feels like you're really trying to bring people together with this project.
Right.
And it would be really interesting to, there are some high schools out there that are really struggling in terms of what these kids have to go through. And it would be so interesting. The engagement would be so interesting if some of those kids piled on in and were willing to, I mean, that would be, to me, if you can pull that off, it just seems to me that you could have a big cohort to move forward with and reach consensus and frankly, maybe even have some sort of political pull, because I don't feel we hear enough from we hear a lot of millennial stuff, but I've been very interested in what sort of from particularly like maybe 14 to 24 is thinking right now. And is there anything else you can tell us other than it being these words like hopeless and hostility? What gives you hope for the future other than what you've told us so far in terms of bringing things together and getting more accurate information? Are there other things that you imagine that your generation could bring that gives us hope?
I think because my generation has grown up behind screens, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. It is bad in some sense, but I also think it is a good thing because, we have a lot of access to different resources and knowing on what's going on in the world. So hopefully people from my generation see that information and do something with it. I don't know. I have a lot of friends that always tell me they want to cure cancer. They have all these really, really big hopes for doing all these different cool things in the world. And it's because they'll see a news story or they'll be like, oh, did you hear about this? This is crazy. And so I think a lot of people in my generation are hopeful that they specifically can do something and change somehow. Like, I think me seeing an issue and then me wanting to change that kind of gave a sense of hope to myself, that I was like, oh, hopefully I can make a small impact and then, spread that on to other people I know. So I think the fact that there is a lot of negativity and hopelessness is kind of also providing hope in a sense that people can address.
Yeah. I agree. It's so hard to hear that, you've used the word hopeless and helpless and so many times. It's like, this is what really worries me about the situation we're in, and no one's paying attention. That's an awful feeling. That's not a healthy feeling. It's not good. The fact that your generation is feeling that is deeply concerning to me, and I hope you can turn it around. That's what I feel like you're doing with the dinner table talk. Dead Hunter 22 asked, has she had an article written that caused her to change her mind on a subject?
Like an article that I've just read?
No, that you've put together for the dinner table talk that altered your way of seeing things, or you changed as a result of putting it together.
It has made me really open-minded, because sometimes I'll see arguments on like TikTok or Instagram, and it's someone, they take a political stance, but they articulate it very poorly. And then there's kind of like a negative connotation to that side of an argument in my head. But yeah, ever since when I talk to people and I have them write, I normally know their political affiliation. I never care, obviously, but it's always interesting to hear them argue a side and hear them argue it well. And then I'm like, oh, I never really thought about it like that. That's interesting.
Right, which is great. I mean, changing your mind, right? You want your mind to change and build and grow. And when you just hear people expressing epithets, shibboleths, emotions, that's nothing. That's nothing. I mean, it may be persuasive to some people, but it doesn't move the needle, as they say.
I think having an open mind is probably the best thing we can have right now. I think overcompensating in one idea of thought is just a recipe for disaster. And hopefully I can get rid of that as much as I can.
Right. Hey, Susan, I'm wondering if you have any questions for Mia, because I know this stuff interests you as well.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know you're busy there with Andrew Ashkazvili. I know.
Did you forward his emails to me?
I didn't get it.
Oh, okay.
I see him there.
No, what I'm hearing is that, her perspective is going to be it's going to change the future. Like, I want to see what comes out the other side of all of this. And at least she's aware of the fact that you can't believe everything you read.
Right. That's the one hopeful thing for sure in this, is that, you're not succumbing to the panic porn and the crazy, excesses of the media, which are just I get disgusted by it at a certain point.
Yeah. And it also our future is ahead of us, and I think we're going to all learn a lot from what just happened to us, and because it happened to all of us. It's not just one.
But I feel like really, I feel like 8 to 15-year-olds are going to get punished by this whole thing. It's going to be a lot if they ever recover from this, and then if they do, it's going to be because Mia's generation, slightly older than her,
it's going to be hard to get their voices heard, because it's the next generation. I mean, hopefully. I don't know. I think that the thoughtfulness is important. And
let me ask this, Mia? Do your peers or some of the contributors worry about the workplace? Like, they're going to is there going to be a job for me if I get a professional training? Is that going to be adequate? Is it all just, again, back to that feeling of hopelessness, or do they kind of feel like this is going to improve from here in some fashion, and the economy will grow and there will be jobs, or are they not thinking that way?
I hate to say it, but I don't think most 16-year-olds really think about the economy, at least not where I am. I don't ever hear a 16-year-old telling me, oh, I'm worried about, I'm not going to get a job when I go to college. I don't think they think that far ahead in the future, which is probably part of the problem. They're so honed in on what's going on right now, which obviously can overwhelm them.
And if you do allow yourself to drift towards thinking about 10, 15 years from now, what does that feel like? What does that look like to you personally? So let's say 10 years. Does it look positive? I mean, because you've used the word hopeless so many times, and I'm trying. It's upsetting me. I'm trying to figure out how to.
I don't need to make this sound super sad or anything. No,
well, it's not sad. You haven't expressed sadness, but you've expressed that the future looks hopeless. Like, God, what are we doing here in this country? people at your age that are trying to engage feeling hopeless. I get it because I feel hopeless, but I feel hopeless for a totally different set of reasons.
She's not 28 like our kids, okay? She's 16.
But I'm not sure they did feel hopeless maybe back in June. I don't think they feel hopeless now. I think they sort of feel like.
I think sometimes
they're just depressed.
Well, that's me too.
I think sometimes like the hopelessness is just, I see so many people that I'll hear them say things. I'm like, that's not true. I'm like, what? Where did you get that from?
Right.
Like, oh yeah, I saw TikTok about it. I'm like, no, that's bad. That's bad. So I think that's why for me personally, I get this sense of hopelessness is that people are so numb to disinformation and there's really not much they can do about it. And you're not really learning in school. Like, people say don't believe everything you read online, but that only goes so far.
And then the sensationalizing of everything to try to get attention and be a TikToker and be, or whatever.
Have you gone onto TikTok and done one of those pointing things where you direct people to go to your website? I mean, TikTok could be a marketing platform. Yeah.
I mean, maybe I should. That's what my friend told me to do. She's like, yeah, we should make a TikTok.
Yeah, use it not as an information platform, but as a marketing platform to send people to.
Oh, look at you, Dr. Drew.
Well, that's what Douglas did, I noticed.
I don't even look at TikTok, okay? I mean, you have so many platforms already, but Drew's in the groove there. He knows.
Well, no, Douglas tried to get me to do that.
Oh.
And I just couldn't hang with it. I don't get it.
We never got there.
Yeah.
Because you know why?
Why?
If we get you a TikTok platform, I get to do it.
Yeah,
it's my job.
Well,
or you
probably.
hire somebody and they charge a lot more than I do.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, Drew is very cute though, dancing and pointing, I have to say.
No, again, it's not very appealing. That's part of the problem. So
I think you'll do a better job, Mia. It'll be good for your brand.
All right. So Mia, speaking of hope, are they going to let you get back to school pretty soon, do you think?
We were supposed to go back at one point in October, and then obviously that's not happening anymore. And then as of right now, there's a plan to go back in January for specifically my school.
Mm-hmm.
But I know a lot of my friends decide that they just want to stay home for the rest of the year because that's an option, obviously. Only like 10 of my friends, I think, are going back that I know of. So I don't know. It's a little unsure, and we don't know how sports are obviously going to pan out, and more people are concerned about that as of right now.
It sounds awful. We got to get back to normalcy, right?
I agree.
Somebody's mentioning an 11-year-old suicide recently.
I know. And Andrew Ashkasvili, you saying you found something and sent to me something about California ICUs. I would love to see that.
Send it to me. I'll do it right now. But does anybody know about this girl and who or boy that?
The 11-year-old, I don't know, but I know that suicide in particularly really 8 to 12-year-old females is going off the chain.
No.
And of course, in adolescence generally, we're seeing all kinds of depression and suicide and substance, and it's just and again, hopelessness is a marker for depression. I mean, that's why when Mia talks about hopelessness, I'm like, you don't seem depressed to me, which is good news.
I'm not.
And I'm
I
just
love what you're
past
doing.
that.
It's amazing. I think bringing people together and having a platform and building a community like we do is really important. And I've learned from this, being able to take people's points of view and the good and the bad, and maybe trying to, listen to both sides. It's very important. So, and I hope that, if you just keep going at it, do more, build a magazine, do whatever you can do.
Yeah. So keep going. We want to encourage you. We think it's a great thing.
I love the name of it too.
The name was great. The content was great. Go forth, go on. There's something here. You're onto something. And we want to encourage it. So congratulations. And if there are people out there on the stream that want to contribute or have family members that might, please, I think the more people she gets onto the ship here, the better, more impactful this is going to be, and the more interesting stuff you're going to come up with too, to be fair.
We're going to talk about COVID-19 now.
Yeah, I'm going to let you go. And I'm going to talk about, I can see the stream is starting to want to talk about COVID.
We have a really good following of people that really want to know what's going on with the health in this country.
Right. So much like you trying to cut through all the BS.
This was a really nice change of pace.
Yes.
And we really appreciate your time. And
indeed.
Thank you for having
I
Of
sent
course.
pictures to your dad. He's got them in his phone. I sent some to you too. There's a really cute one with a really cute remark. I'll send it to you too.
And much like you, we sort of started this stream to cut through the BS too, just because there's so much nonsense out there. Just trying to make sense of things, calm everybody down, look dispassionately at things, see if we can reach a consensus on stuff. And I'm, as much like you, I'm open to sharing differing opinions on things. So good for you. Go forward. Good luck. And hopefully we'll talk to you again sometime very soon, Mia. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. You got it. Congratulations. And for those of you that want me to go on a bit about the material online. So here's the deal. As usual, at least in my state, they are just, it's kind of interesting. I was watching a little bit of Governor Newsom's newscast, and okay, hold on a second. Andrew Ashkazvili is saying something, and I want to go to this first. Alex Berenson has found out that people are counted as hospitalized person, but they are just there so they can receive remdesivir. I wonder if it's the same for the Regeneron and the Lilly product. Andrew, again, that's a convention issue. So if I have somebody go to the hospital, I want to put them on a 24-hour hold so they can get remdesivir and Regeneron or something, that's still a hospitalization. So although what they then will do is create data on length of hospitalization. Right now in LA County, I know the average length is 5 days. If people are just there for 24 hours for an infusion, it's going to be very, very short. And so, yes, you'll still see hospitalizations going up, but you'll see duration of hospitalization go down. And, of course, the press will only make a deal of the hospitalizations overall. Dr. Fauci has said, according to Robert Simpson, that the UK rushed their vaccine. Yes, they did. It's an emergency. It's time to rush, Dr. Fauci. I would agree with that. And by the way, the thing that bogs us down is not the science. You know it. It's the legal system. It's the attorneys. And as a friend of mine who worked for the FDA told me, a woman I was listening to said that before the advent of being able to file electronically, they used to have to send over paperwork. And she said for the legal aspect of a single drug approval, it would take the equivalent of an 18-wheel tractor trailer cabin content, the entire thing, head to ceiling, that much paper just to get through the legal nonsense associated with the drug approval. So I guarantee you what's holding us up is not the science, but the legalities, the bureaucracy, and the regulation. That's what's holding us up. So if, unless somebody wants to push that aside, which was what the UK did. They pushed it aside in the name of the safety of the country and the well-being of its people. But okay. Let's see, Bootyful. Why do they report COVID cases? They're still including people that had COVID 10 months ago. I'm not quite sure what data you're referring to. And Leopold says Newsom is doing to California what Drew will have next week, a colonoscopy. So he's giving a colonoscopy. Well, all right, so I watched Newsom's This is the State of California. And he was saying, essentially, he was really trying to sell it. His whole thing was, you love me still? You love me still? I really want you to stay at home. It's a lot of qualified stay-at-home kind of please, please, please kind of stuff because they know they've overplayed their hand and that people aren't listening to them anymore. We've had a stay-at-home order here in Southern California, Los Angeles. Freeway traffic has not changed one bit. People are just stopped listening because it's been excessive. It's been so excessive they don't know what to believe anymore. It
stopped a little bit. I got home in less than an hour on Monday night.
On Monday, you're right. There was lighter traffic, and that was before the stay-at-home order. And on Tuesday, when they issued the stay-at-home order, it got heavy
they
again.
Closed all the restaurants. So, but it was
only in LA County.
Yeah, but I was going. I was coming.
That's all they did. They did not do the stay-at-home order until just now.
It was weird.
So
I was driving 90 miles an hour.
Well, that's what it was before.
I couldn't even feel it.
All right. Well, now if you go back out there, it's very, very busy.
Well, in the nighttime, it's not because of the curfews. Everything's closed. I mean, there's curfews all the way down to Orange County. So
yeah,
but it was like 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock when I was driving.
So what's interesting to me is only the virus.
I don't mean to fight with you, honey, but I just want.
Only the virus knows where this is going, right? Only the virus knows how bad this is going to get. But let's just stand back and just think about what's going on here. I'm looking at the data on California. And yes, we have a lot of cases. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the United States data. And we have a lot of cases, but since November 18th, it has plateaued. It's plateaued. Now, the hospitalizations have not yet plateaued, and we know that's a lagging indicator, right? And so, indeed, that's got a little time to go before it does. The death rate has gone up a bit. Whether it stays up or plateaus, we don't know. But, of course, it would go up when there are more cases, right? I mean, it'd be a pretty crazy thing if it didn't go up at all. But consider the fact that although we have, let's see, in April we had 22,000 cases, we literally have almost 10 times the number of cases, and we're just coming in. We just yesterday, was it yesterday, hit the same number of deaths per day as we had back when we had 1/10 the number of cases. We have 10 times the cases, 10 times, and the same number of deaths. Now, it's not good. We need to do better. And hospitalization is double what it was when we had 70,000 cases. So, again, we have more than twice those cases, and our hospitalization is about double. But the death rate is not. So, again, it seems that we're doing pretty good with preventing death from this thing. Of course, we would like to do better. Of course we would.
Am I looking for a Mount Sinai thing from Andrew about the autopsies?
I don't know. What did that say?
Something about Mount Sinai analysis of COVID-19 autopsy reveals many new details about the disease. Was that what he was talking about?
I don't know. We'll have to see what he says here.
I'm looking for I don't know if he emailed.
We can't find the email, Andrew.
It's from Andre. It says, I assume that's.
Let's see. I said medically we not say you would get HIV 100% by having sex, but you asked the main mommy. She said that was what she told them.
What's that?
Jason, I don't get that.
What was the question?
You said the medical community did not say you would get HIV 100% by having sex, but if you asked the main mommy, she said that's what she was told. No, Jason, what I said was that back then...
Who's the main mommy?
Christina.
Oh.
Back then, what we did not say, what I said was 100% was if the disease passed, it was 100% fatal. So if you passed the disease, there was 100% probability of that person dying. Not 1%, like COVID. If you pass the disease, there's a 1% chance of that person dying. We never said to the person that passed the disease of AIDS, you're a murderer. You killed that person. We never said that to people. That's disgusting. And yet, if you cross the street now, you're a murderer. If you pass it, you're a murderer.
People on the street were kind of pissed if they found out somebody had AIDS. We did say that to each other.
What are you talking about?
The health messaging wasn't like that, but it was
correct.
Like,
that's all I'm saying.
If you have sex with somebody, you could kill them. Like the people said that.
But
if we all had Twitter, trust me, it would be out there. But you're right. The health messaging was a lot more benign.
It was not benign. It was shaping behavior rather than totalitarian, authoritarian, threatening.
Right.
This is the wrong way to approach public health.
Yeah.
How we came from not telling people they were a murderer when they passed an infectious disease to now telling everybody who dares to go outside or not wear a mask they are murderers.
We're locking them in their house.
That's an insanity. Now we have Governor Cuomo telling people that they have to deal with living room transmission. And you know what? He's right. If you're going to talk about outdoor restaurant transmission, then you should be paying attention to living room transmission as well, because guess what? The vast majority of COVID passes in the home. Every time I get a call from a patient with COVID, it's usually because a young adult came home with the COVID, passed it to all 5 people in the home. That's how COVID spreads. In the home, not in the restaurants. It just doesn't happen like that. So yeah, living room transmission is a real concern. I don't think, though, you should be having people wear masks in their home. That does not make intuitive sense to me at all. But that's what Governor Cuomo thinks we should do. And I'm saying people are outraged by that. I'm saying that's completely consistent with what we're doing here in terms of shutting down outdoor restaurants. So they have got to fall back on evidence-based for their recommendations. They have to have evidence basis, and they have to consider the harm, every decision they make. And that seems to be not in their lexicon. So Andrew Ashkazvili said, Dr. Mark Siegel says his colleagues in the European Union told him they were looking at the data from Pfizer. It was occurring as it was occurring, so they could approve now, okay? FDA has to look at the bulk of the data all at once. That makes sense. Although, Andrew, I do believe people from the FDA were involved with the Pfizer people. The question is, were they involved? Were they committee members or not? Then there might be something to that. Oh, interesting. Casey Gates is saying that the YouTube won't let them post links for some reason. Okay.
Oh, really? Oh, that sucks. Oh, I can probably get on YouTube though.
Leopold's making the point that because we didn't have cell phones and social media and stuff, the health messaging was TV and radio, and it was more controllable. Yeah, but you still had news outlets, and we still had cable news even back then to some extent, and they weren't out of control. Like they weren't distorting to get viewership the way they're doing it now. They weren't breathless in every report. I wrote down some of the words they were using. Terrifying. That's my own public health officials use that. Cataclysmic. Really? Cataclysmic? Grim? How often have you heard that word?
A million times.
And then staggering.
Why weren't you talking to Mia like that? Tell her. She's the one that's
But my point is staggering. Staggering is a word that I started hearing when people said there were 3,000 cases. Staggering. Is that honest reporting? We're at what, 13 million now? Was it staggering at 30,000? Was it staggering at 50,000? Is it staggering at 13 million? And that's what I want to sort of point out about the present moment. The present moment, there's a lot of people with this thing. A lot of them are mildly symptomatic. Very few are ill. Enough are getting the illness that it's impacting hospitalization and the fatality rate. So yes, it's a concern. But the majority are not, and the majority are getting adequate treatment, and they were preventing them from dying. So the question is, if you'd asked my public officials back when there were 30,000 cases and they had us completely locked down, they would have said this was terrifying, cataclysmic, and grim when there were 30,000 cases.
I have really good news.
What?
Joe sent it for Andrew. For some reason, his emails aren't coming through. Thank you, Joe.
Now,
he's my personal assistant.
In the state of, that was 30,000 in the United States. Now we're at what, 200,000 a day, something like that? Is that staggering? Or is 400,000? Right. How do we even know anymore what numbers we should be worrying about? Because they have overplayed their hand so severely. My concern right now, I have two concerns. One is that we got to get the hospitalization rate under control. We have to put a cap on this. We can't, because only the virus knows where it's going. And if it does go from 200,000 to 400,000, that's going to be a big problem, right? And I don't believe, our government, the White House said that if you were at a Thanksgiving, you were infected. Anybody out there go to a Thanksgiving and get infected? Is anybody, you'd be sick today. It's a week since Thanksgiving. Anybody sick from Thanksgiving out there on my restream?
I know somebody who got COVID-19 though.
From going to Thanksgiving dinner?
No, she flew to Dallas. She thinks she got it.
Susan, you are not listening to me today. Let me make my point. You have the government saying if you went to Thanksgiving, you are infected. And my question is there anybody in my stream who got it, who is sick today, just sick today?
Because you would be sick.
Because you would be sick today if you got it on Thanksgiving. Anybody? So this is the hyperbolic nonsense that we're getting out there.
Well, maybe because we didn't have as big of a party. We had smaller parties, so we protected.
The White House today, the task force said, if you were at Thanksgiving dinner with anybody, consider yourself infected. And I would like to point out that seems insane to me.
God, I'm glad I was sleeping during that.
And so
I got the chart. I also emailed it to you. Did you get it from me? From
COVID grenade. That's a new one. Thank you, George Clark. COVID grenade. COVID grenade. There's no COVID grenade. We're actually plateaued. And they've been telling us that it's going to be a massive increase from here. And yes, we should be concerned about that. From going from 400,000 a day, 400,000 patients a day, it's going to be bad. That would be a problem. But we're all being careful. We're all navigating. And that's the whole thing. We should be being encouraged how to navigate this thing.
Yeah. So do you want to see the chart?
SS Betty. They didn't say with a lot of people. They said with anybody outside your household.
See that?
That was a big announcement today.
Like
from the White House, from the task force. It was in all the headlines.
On my
phone.
Apple News.
Yes.
From hell.
Here it is. Robert Simpson is putting the exact quote out. Dr. Deborah Burke said, "Assume you are infected if you went to Thanksgiving."
So everybody's going out to get tested.
I think to assume you're infected is a reasonable thing.
They're making a lot of money on some of this stuff. I got to tell you.
It's just too much.
Okay,
listen.
I'm reposting that.
So navigate, everybody. Navigate safely. Be careful. I traveled. When was it? 3 days ago? 2 days ago? So I've got a few days, before which I could get sick, and then 48 hours or so. Pretty much everybody's in at 7 days, and pretty much everybody's actually in at 5 days. So if you have an exposure and you aren't sick within 5 days, you're in pretty good shape. You're 85%, 80% in at that point.
So this is the chart. Do you want to see it?
Which one? The
one that Andrew was sending, and
sure.
then Joe had to send because Andrew's being censored by my Gmail.
Oh,
account.
interesting.
Yeah, I looked in the spam and everything. I don't know what's wrong. But anyways, here it is.
Uh-oh.
So I emailed it to you too if you want to look in your email so you can see it. It's basically a chart that says how many people, age groups of how many people died in each age group. So the 77,961 were over the age of 85.
And that's out of how many?
Deaths.
Yeah.
Out of 249.
But that's always the way it is.
Right. 84 was 7,000, and it moves down. It stops at about 60 years old at 3,000, so it ranges all the way down to 61 years.
I'm having trouble interpreting this. I'm not getting it.
It just says how many people have died of COVID-19.
Percentage of all COVID deaths older than this age.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, like,
it's
60,
90+%.
So when you get down to like 46 years, it goes below 1,000.
So, for instance, if you take our age group, Susan, it's essentially 80% of people that die are older than our age. So our chance of dying is low.
Wait,
and if you are, let's say Mia's age, which is what, 16, it's 99.96%.
But they say total deaths of people over 85 in this time was 788,000. 1% died of COVID.
Yeah.
So, 77,000. In our age group, 60 years old,
Oh, you're saying the total
died
deaths.
total. But
All right,
only
so that's
3,500 of them were from COVID.
Okay, so there's an important piece of data in there. This is an interesting. Oh man, somebody needs to put this in a graphic form. So let me see if I can interpret it. What we're saying is the vast majority of people who died are over the age of 75, and if you're under the age of 75, pretty much everyone that dies is older than you, and particularly if you're older than 60 or younger. Pretty much everyone that dies is people that are older than you. But
right, it's a smaller percentage of COVID.
But if you die and you're over 85 years of age,
it's 1%. But
it's 1% of deaths.
But they also show
it's 1%. No,
like
it's more than
1-year-olds. 1,000 1-year-olds died last year, and 8 of them had COVID.
Yeah,
and
right.
15-year-olds. 1,000 15-year-olds died last year. Only 10 of them were COVID-19 deaths. So it's a very small percentage comparatively.
But the same is true at age 85.
30-year-olds, 6,206 30-year-olds died last year, probably mostly of drug overdose or something. And 203 were COVID. So
which is
you're in your mid-30s or mid-40s, very low percentage of COVID deaths compared to just.
But even when the point is about the 85 plus, and even
in California, right? This is I think this
United States. It's the United States.
Wow.
So even if you go to 80 plus in this graph, essentially once you hit 80,
I would think more
you're likely to die. You're 90% likely to die of something else. So, but when you die, you will die of something else.
That's what my mom used to say. You'll die of something else. Okay, so, but it just seems like not as many people, but almost 1 million 85-year-old died last year or in this time zone.
That's right.
And that's the point. We're giving all the vaccines to somebody who's going to die anyways.
Well, so that's the question. Well, this actually bothered me because let's go back to me now. Because what bothered me was what I'm hearing is we're going to give this to nursing home patients.
Oh, I'll put you back on the screen.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Andrew Ashkazvili. Phil Kerpen is who I'm going to follow on Twitter. Kerpen. I bet the graphs will be very impressive.
Andrew also said he had a graph of the deaths in California or something. I didn't get that either.
Okay, we'll look for that. But here's what's bothering me.
Thank you, Andrew, for all your information. It's really nice.
As always.
Sorry it's not coming through on my email.
As always.
I'm going to give you my personal email, and maybe we can, get it that way too.
Okay, so what I'm thinking is what bothers me is we're going to give this to nursing home patients and the personnel in the nursing home.
Yes.
And I have lots of 85-plus-year-olds running around in my practice who have 5 to 10 years of life left.
So maybe it's good because then they can see their grandchildren and then they can get guests when they're at their death's bed.
Jeez, you are not. If you think I'm saying what I think you think I'm saying,
that's my opinion.
I'm hoping it must be me because I'm not communicating well today. So let me try again.
No, I know what you're going to say. I just had to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
If you go to nursing homes and vaccinate the nursing homes, definitely the personnel, right? The personnel that makes perfect sense.
That'll be good.
But vaccinating the people in the nursing home, the average life expectancy is about 1 year. It's 6 to 18 months. So you're going to vaccinate people that have 1 year at most life ahead of them. I've got a lot of 85-year-olds out in the world.
Yeah,
Susan, stop.
Right. They're not, all these 85-year-olds weren't in nursing homes.
Stop. Who, because they're not in a nursing home, I can tell you prognostically, they're going to be around 5 or 10 more years. They're going to be around a lot longer than the nursing home patients. And they are at the same risk as the nursing home patients. So shouldn't we be giving it to those people who have a much longer life expectancy, a much higher quality of life, and we're withholding it from that group and giving it to the nursing home? It really seems, I don't know, that sounds, I worries me.
Maybe we should call the president.
It's a lot of stuff on my mind. They're saying I sound feisty. Tom Cigar says I'm feisty, and it's just I'm worried. These things are bothering me. I know you're an addiction specialist,
but you also have been in a million nursing homes. I remember when you used to go to them all the time.
Yes,
and
I have.
I give you so much credit for doing that. I could never do that in a million years. But you are right. And what about the 68,000 or 7,084-year-olds and the 7,083-year-olds?
That's right.
And the like that age group should just be able to go into a nursing home and get the vaccination.
Sure. That's an interesting. Maybe they could distribute it. That's right. The problem is, this is the other thing that I'm worried about, which is that the Pfizer vaccine needs to be stored at minus 81 degrees, something like that. And hospitals have the deep freeze like that, but nursing homes don't. So
they're going to set up. They said they were going to set up like units that gave out the vaccination. What are they? I guess they're going to take them into the.
Matt Collins is a 94-year-old uncle that plays tennis every day. It's amazing. And Don 9977 is Auntie's father, over 90, hospitalized with COVID, doing okay, which is great news. Look, the fatality rate is 12%. It's not 100%. It's 12%.
Yeah. I know. I just, when I look at these numbers, it makes me even madder. It really does. Because it's like, it's not.
Well, it's a serious thing, right? It's not something that we should be taking casually. But the question is, should we be in a panic?
Should we be shutting down the country for all those 40-year-olds that died this year, of something else?
And it's the death of mathematics, because the press is only giving you horror stories and not telling you, we had to search far and wide to find this horror stories because of the many, many tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of 40-year-olds that get COVID. They're all fine, but we found one. This guy's on a ventilator and he lost his hands, and we're going to tell you that story. That's the stuff. And today on CNN, I'm going to send this to you, Susan. Adam sent me a thing where he was going crazy. Because you may want to play it on this, because he was screaming at me, look at the ages, look at the ages.
Okay, email it to me.
Yeah, I'm going to text it to you.
No, I can't pull it from my phone. I have to do it because I'm not on a Mac. I'm on a PC and my phone's the Mac.
All right, so I'm saving it. Let me see if I can get it to you.
I have to. Everything has to go through my email.
Paste.
I know. I usually tell you to text me, but
okay. And I'm just going to title it video.
Okay.
And it's not a big deal. It's just a video that shows the ages of. They try to get into a panic story. Here are some of the people that died today, and everybody was over the age of 85. And so Adam sent me this video screaming, "Look at the ages! Look at the ages!" And it's old people die of. This is accelerating the death for some elderly people. It's bad. It's sad. We need to navigate that. We need to help protect them. But should we be in a panic about it is the real question.
What's up with this email?
I
haven't gotten it yet.
What are you looking at? The email I sent you?
Yeah, I haven't gotten it yet. It's taking forever. Oh, there it is. I got it.
Yeah.
Couldn't view. Let's see.
All right.
Let me see if I can get this to work.
Can companies require employees to get the vaccine, or else they can't work there? Robert, there are things like that can happen. I mean, for instance, if there's a major probability of working in that environment is going to cause transmission, I can see where they might have to require it. But I don't know to what extent they can exert that privilege. I don't know. That's a legal question I don't have. Is 1 million going to be enough? Werewolf asks. Is 1 million going to be enough what? And then you put 10 million question mark. 10 million cases? We have over 10 million cases, or 10 million dead. Is that the question? We're going to get to, before this is over, there are going to be, so President-elect Biden was predicting 250,000 more deaths. Let me look at the data there and see if I agree with that, because that's a lot. Here is the data. We are at, that does not look right to me. No, I don't think, we're peaking out at around 2,500 cases a day here right now. And we've been here before, and we tend to come back down. That's the other thing. Susan, can you put the graphs back up on the U.S. COVID tracking project? Mm-hmm. Put that up there. Now put up just the U.S. There you go. Okay, leave that up.
Full range or just 90?
Full range. Put the full range up. You'll notice that every time it goes up, whether it's hospitalization, the pink is the cases, it doesn't head and shoulder, it doesn't plateau, it just comes back down. Or at least comes, to some extent back down. And I don't know why we wouldn't expect that, epidemics tend to behave the way they behave. Viral outbreaks behave the way they behave. And that seems to be the behavior of these surges, which is it goes up and then kind of levels off or kind of heads down for a little while and then it goes up again. But it doesn't stay up. It comes back down. So I think we can expect it to come back down much like it has done. The question is, will it come back down to the same level it has been? And again, where is the virus going and what's the time frame for this before we can get the vaccine adequately out there? That's the question. Okay, so I don't have, what is the total? Go back up, Susan, so I can see the total number of deaths. There's some data up higher. Okay, yeah, hang on. The total deaths, hospitalization,
total
deaths.
264,522.
Yeah, so Vice President Biden, or President-elect Biden, is predicting 250,000 more. Well, we're certainly not going to get into the 2 million zone that the original, which is what I was pushing back on so hard.
Oh, we lost 500,000 with H1N1, so.
Well, that was worldwide, though, to be fair.
Oh, it was?
But yeah, that was worldwide. But the panic porn at the beginning was 2 million, 2 million, 2 million. Everyone quoted that data. That's coming.
Well, we did a pretty good job if it worked.
Correct. If we can keep it under, I mean, it's terrible that lives are being cut short. But as you see in that data we put up there a little while ago, they're cut short by a lot of things, and only 10% of them is cut short by COVID. And as such, I just don't see where we're going to. I just don't see where we get over 350,000, which is a lot of people, but it's not 2 million. It's not 2 million.
Good. Okay, so you asked me to put this video up, but it's hard for me to.
Okay, then don't do it.
Let me switch it over for a second and see if I can figure out how to.
I don't do it because it's kind of maudlin. I don't want to do it.
I mean, I can't figure out.
Yeah, don't do it. Okay.
You're off New York, right? So can I get a year?
Yet now, but there we go.
That's what you sent me.
Okay, good. That's not what I intended at all. So
what did
that's
you
fine.
say?
I don't know. It's something I copied from Adam. So
Oh my god.
okay.
Oh my god. Okay. Well,
All right.
the problem is I can't do the sound unless you're off the screen.
It's okay. Don't worry. Don't worry.
I want to figure out why that is, but okay, I'll do it after.
Yeah, it's not.
But
Yeah, it looks like an ad.
that might have been an ad.
Yeah, but it's all right. It essentially was just talking about the ages of people, and it was and it was kind of stunning that 100% of the people that they put up for their panic porn was over the age of 85. And
I've been awake too long today.
and when you look at the data, at least in LA County, they always open with the same thing, which is 93% of people who died have underlying serious medical conditions. Meaning, and when they say that, they're meaning like people who already have multiple medical problems. And when they used to say pneumonia was what killed people, which is what would take people out in that category, now it's COVID doing it. It's just doing it more effectively.
Jason Waltz, 100% of the people will die eventually.
Yeah, I understand, but look, I'm not looking to be.
I'm disconcerted about that, the age group from 30 to 45. Like, there's so many people, obviously, like 55 is getting up there.
What are you talking about?
The amount of people that die outside of COVID at certain ages,
right. Meaning
the younger generation, and then
the small percentage you're talking about of people that.
No, I mean, what are they dying of? What are we not pinpointing here? Like 45-year-olds, 44-year-olds.
What are they dying of other than COVID?
10,000 people died.
Oh, dying of cancer and everything. I think that's why I practice. It's what I take care of all day.
Kind of pops up in the 50s.
If you don't think that people die of things every day, you better.
The 60s. I mean, it's a gradual. It's interesting because it as you get older, you die. I mean,
yes, cancer starts kicking in. People start getting cancer. They start getting heart disease, and eventually you get one of these.
But
things.
I know that. I live with you. I've watched you treat patients for years. People die, and I have family who've died. I have friends that have died of cancer, and it happens. It's not. We're also afraid of that.
Well, we should be. I mean, it's appropriate, and we do the best we can to reduce that risk and to be able to treat it. We're trying to. That's what doctors do. They deal with life-threatening illnesses, but some of them we can only fight back so far.
I'm amazed more people haven't died. A million, total. They don't have like the total deaths of. Oh yeah.
Malia says car crashes, cancer, gunshots. Oh my God, Susan, are you high?
So what they say?
Forget it. You're sleep deprived. We got up at like 5 o'clock.
I had to get up and set up a camera at 6 a.m. for the Oz show. Okay, which isn't stressful enough at 10 o'clock in the morning.
So Werewolf says here's an important point.
Tapping into a Zoom meeting with Dr. Oz.
Werewolf said this is a death rate comparable to World War II. No, it's not, because you have to look at years of life lost. Let's say 250,000 lives lost in World War II had 70 years of life ahead of them. So it's 250,000 times 70 as opposed to 250,000 times 5, which is what we're dealing with now. So it's a different math. It's a different math. When 21-year-olds die, that is 60 years plus of life lost. When an 85-year-old dies, that's 1 to 5 years of life lost. So you have to do that math when you start comparing World War II deaths with infectious disease deaths. Because again, infectious diseases take us out as human beings. We've lost track of that since the advent of antibiotics. You got to remember that the vast majority of people died of infectious diseases until 1950. Throughout human history, the vast majority of humans died of infectious diseases, and they died young. So you've got to get that in your head. It's a new thing that all of a sudden we were without that for a while, and now it's come back and hurting people that are much older. Okay.
I have another chart that Joe sent me.
Okay, Joe sent this one.
I love you, Joe.
Via Andrew.
Joe's he's the weather guy.
Yes, he is our our meteorologist. So I don't see the chart though.
I'm working on it. Sorry. Somebody said I was a bad comedian. I wasn't trying to be funny.
Kimberly Cornelison says I should look at some of Dr. Oz's Facebook pages before I talk to him tomorrow. I talked to him this morning.
Yeah, too late.
What is it on his Facebook you'd like me to know?
What did you guys talk about today? I forget.
So Karen Bowe says, "Oh my God, I was feeling down today, but honestly, I've laughed out loud 3 times today with us two."
I know it's the Bickersons.
I think it's fun. This is what happens when we're both sleep deprived. Karen, thank you for that.
Well, did you dive in the swimming pool today?
No, I did not.
I think I'll get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go in the swimming pool. I said, do yourself a favor.
I did not, but I'm actually thinking about doing it now.
You didn't sleep much last night.
No, I did.
Or the night before.
Night before I did not.
All right, here's a chart.
Yeah.
Another one. Total deaths and COVID-19 deaths by age years.
All right, let's see it. By age years. Good. Oh, okay. Interesting.
Okay, this is the chart the recent one that.
Right. So this is what I was talking about in terms of age years. So in terms of the numbers of people harmed by this
right
thing.
is 17 years and to the left is 65 years. So
yeah.
And then it showed that little yellow part at the top are the COVID-19 deaths.
Oh,
as
interesting.
comparative.
So these are just deaths overall. The blue is the number of people dying in those age brackets, and then the yellow is the percentage of those deaths that are due to COVID-19.
Right.
Right. It's a very tiny percentage.
Wait, I got to get the other one.
It's a very tiny percentage. Is there more to this? Is there a graph that
Yeah,
goes
there's
up from
another
there?
one. Hold on.
Yeah. So
I thought
you
I had
see-
both of them.
I'm imagining that yellow gets bigger as you get older.
Okay, I'll show you.
Let's see.
Yeah, you were right.
Imagine
how you
that.
are?
Imagine that.
How damn smart you are.
I still don't see it, though.
It's coming, okay?
Okay.
God.
Hey, Dr. Yo, I see you. I see you stalking me. Okay, and what is that?
This is COVID-19 deaths and total deaths by age years. Okay, so
So yellow is total deaths in this case, as we had the other way around with the other one. So this is the blue is your COVID deaths, right? So as you
total
see,
deaths is yellow, yeah.
So blue is COVID deaths. So
You're
as you
better at
see,
charts than I am.
it stays pretty consistent. There's a percentage of, well, actually it goes down as you get older. It goes down because the number stays close to the same, but the probability of dying
between
is
the
higher.
age of 66 and 70.
Does it go up to 85 plus at all? Do we have another graph, or is that it?
No, that's it. Sorry.
And where are these? Is this
Where did
from?
you find this?
Yeah, where is
there-
this from?
Yeah, post the link. You're not allowed to. Just email it to me.
Yeah, email where this graph
let me
is
look.
from.
Maybe he did. So here's both
Is
graphs.
this Phil Kerpen again? Is this his stuff? So you see, that's deaths overall, and the yellow is the COVID deaths. And then the next graph, it's up in the corner there. And the graph in the corner is again, yellow is total deaths, blue is COVID deaths. So you see as a percentage of deaths, and it's
between the age of 66 and 67,
Yeah.
the yellow graph.
yeah, and you can see it's a quite a small percentage.
Anybody
of
over
total deaths.
77 doesn't count because they're going to die anyways.
Dr. Yo, did you see the conversation we had with Dr. Bruce Patterson yesterday? I thought that was
Yeah,
very
he was
interesting.
there.
That's right. You were there for part of it. That's right. Yeah, we should post that. That is an impressive graph. That's very interesting.
Okay, I'll retweet it. He
yeah.
tweeted it to me. I'm sorry, I don't look at my Twitter.
Because this is what people,
much. You gotta
this is the
text
part
or
that I was trying to get
email
people to
it to me.
understand. And it's possible that when you look at those blue bars down in the younger age groups, I would like to know how much of that death is mental health deaths. And and how much that has expanded because of what the public health officials
Here's
have done
another
to
one.
young people.
Here's another one. Oh, here's the one over 85. You're keeping me. He sent the one over 85.
Okay. Andrew Ashkazvili says something very important, and I want to say it. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Vaccines on the
sorry.
horizon. Great treatments coming out weekly, looking good. I agree, Andrew. It's just today's kind of a frustrating day in California because we're under lockdown and all kinds of crazy, impulsive decisions are being made that it's going to make people sicker and not necessarily have any significant impact on COVID. So that's again, I'm asking them, please show me one publication in a peer-reviewed journal that substantiates what you're doing. One. That's all I need. Just one. You don't have to show me a whole literature. Just show me one. Unfortunately, it doesn't exist. All right. Why don't we wrap this up, Susan? Okay. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Trying to get the over 80. Oh, shit.
Oh, the over 80 graph? That will be interesting. I'd love to see that. Did I hear about Temple University CRISPR technology breakthrough that is bringing us closer to a cure for HIV? I did not, Bootyful, but I know there's lots of CRISPR stuff going on that is very, very interesting. Kimberly says, this is why I think you aren't researching enough to be saying what you're saying sometimes. What is why? Oh, from Dr. Oz's page you're saying that, or from what? Because Oz and I don't disagree on essentially anything.
It's daytime, too. It's like...
Well, I'd be interested to know what she's talking about.
You
Kimberly?
didn't talk about COVID-19 with Dr. Oz today.
Not really. But I'm wondering.
Just like,
I don't know what she's talking about. It's what I'm not researching.
Daytime's like social stuff.
And Andrew Ashkazvili and Leopold Prosky, maybe you guys can talk to Kimberly about the research we all do, and Dr. Yo and Dr. Patterson. And maybe you guys want to question her and see what she's thinking about, because we do a lot of research. Yeah. Graphs are widely available. Kimberly says, I don't know what graphs you're talking about.
For some reason, I'm logged out of my Twitter. I was going to look for my Twitter because I saw here's the graph that he did.
You're talking about these graphs that we just played today?
Yeah. So basically.
I'm sure it's widely available.
Yeah. So 85 and older is a lot more people die, obviously.
Right.
It's pretty much the same as this.
It stays about the same, right?
Yeah. I just
yeah. But so it goes up, right? It goes up, but it stays about the same as a percentage.
I'm going to let you retweet it on your Twitter so people
Thank
can
you,
see.
Leopold.
No, that was Joe.
No, Leopold says research is how we roll. And so, okay, Martha, I keep giving you another try, and you continue to be the second most ignorant physician I know. Huh? How about
Thanks,
that? Martha Guyton. What specifically do you have in mind, Martha? Where is the evidence of the ignorance, and I'll try to improve. Andrew Ashkazvili says, this ain't CNN. We actually do our research. That's correct. That is correct. We spend a lot of our time in the immune system and the cytokine activation biology, obviously the leronlimab and the Maravirac and the Rantes system and how that can be manipulated, in particular the long haulers. But again, I don't know what she's...
now this is international. Somebody just sent me a... Hold on. I'm getting other stuff here. Let me see if I can...
Share with him those charts. Share Dr. Oz those charts, Kimberly? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Happy to.
Okay, here's something somebody just sent us. It's it looks like international as well.
I can't quite read it. Can you enlarge it?
Yeah, let me see what I can do. Hold on. I'm trying. Oh, that's weird. It's all cut off. Let me move this over. There we go. Is that better?
That's way better. So Sweden and Minnesota, what are I can't see what the axes are though. I don't know. I imagine the x-axis is time. The y-axis is COVID deaths per million. Okay. And they're showing that Minnesota and Sweden end up in the same place by December in terms of COVID deaths for, I see. So what this thing is making, the point this is making, is that in spite of all the mandates that Minnesota had, stay-at-home mask mandate, and move it over a little bit towards me again. I can't see Minnesota, no something. Sweden,
no visitors.
No visitors. So the borders are closed in Minnesota. So in spite of all those measures, Sweden and Minnesota end up in the exact same place. And that's the part that I'm interested in, because I would like to see, like I said a minute ago, one publication that suggests otherwise. I really want to see it, that suggests if you put mandates in or stay at home or any of these things, that it does anything, if it does anything, other than create mental health deaths, which are massive right now.
Those are between 30 and 40 because they can't afford their homes and they're jumping off bridges.
Well, there is the fact that poverty creates death, but I'm really talking about depression and substance abuse and all that good stuff.
Yeah, that's true. We're going to have to go back to dealing with that again.
There are less deaths this year than last, so why wouldn't it be 250,000 more than the average last year? Right. So Jeremy is showing that we have less deaths this year for some reason. I don't think that can be answered without some more research, my friend. All right. They're asking for Phil Kerpen. How do we get him, Andrew? If you can maybe have Joe email us.
I'll send Joe my email and he can give it to you guys. My actual email.
Think about life saved in Sweden from suicide, substance abuse. Right. That's possibly the case. All right, you guys. This has been interesting. Thank you to Mia Burke.
Thanks for listening to Mia. She's adorable and really cute and smart. And
again, I want hopeful things, and she seemed like she and her peers are up to something. And if they can get more on that boat, I think they will be having a significant. Phil Kerpen. Yes, if you can get Phil Kerpen, he's going to be. You guys have recommended lots of good guests to us, so we are all ears. Love to interview different people.
Get me his info.
Yeah, if Joe, you can send Susan the info.
I'm terrible.
Or maybe you can DM him or something. So.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Oh my gosh. We are wrapping things up. I'm being the drunk uncle, heading for the door.
No, it's okay. It's fine. You have to do Fox tonight. We're doing it here from the house again.
Nope, I don't. I have to go to dinner with Mr. Corolla.
Oh, that's right. You're off tonight.
Yes, so you can go to bed.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to go to bed.
Okay.
I'll have dinner with your sons.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
I forgot about that. But anyways, check them out on Fox. When's the Oz piece going to air?
Monday, I think. Monday, I think. But and then the rest of it is in February sometime.
He liked your set. I was very
Yes,
happy
he liked the picture on the set and stuff. He was really happy with that.
Speaking of Adam and Drew, go to drdrew.com and get all the latest Adam and Drew
stuff.
Shows.
All right. We appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, wait. I see. You sent this to me. Okay, Susan, I've got the age of the breakdowns again. Okay,
It
everybody.
doesn't seem like that. It seems like more people should have died in the United States than that. It just
Well,
doesn't-
that's the point somebody was just making on the thread, which is
that true?
deaths are actually down this year.
Yeah.
And that we should have been above our baseline. We did have excess deaths at one point, but then
Because we weren't driving.
well, one of the theories is that we had excess deaths and then we had the below our usual excess because people that would have died 6 months later died 6 months earlier. And that might be it. It might have just equalized after that. Andrew Ashkashvili, in Pasadena, we are allowed to eat outdoors. And so Pasadena still has its own sane public health department. And actually, I've seen the public health director here speak, and she seems quite competent to me, unlike what I've seen in other parts of this region. So I will be acting accordingly. And I'll be wearing my mask and doing all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So,
You haven't gotten sick yet, but we won't know for a few more days, right?
Right. Because I told somebody here recently that the airport I was at the Newark airport on, was that Tuesday? And the crowds were excessive. And I guess
Well,
Joe.
it's Thanksgiving weekends, the Tuesday after Thanksgiving.
Joe pointed out to me that everyone has learned to go through New Jersey because they're not requiring these paperwork
that's what I
for
told.
the.
I actually told that to Joe.
Right. And Joe.
So, also my friend Silva, the jeweler from Silva and Company, Silva and C, she flies to Dallas occasionally to sell jewelry, and she got COVID-19, and she told me about it last night. I texted her last week, see how she was doing, and she didn't respond, but she said that she had a sore throat. She didn't have a fever. She lost her sense of taste, really didn't want to eat much, lost a couple pounds because nothing tasted good. And she didn't drink for a week, which, that's always a sign for me if I'm sick. And she said it wasn't that big of a deal, but she's tired. She's really tired.
Still?
A little bit, but not bad. But she wants, it's like, I'm just like, she's about 50. She's probably like 40. Her kids are 21. So she's probably about 50, right?
I don't know.
No, I know. But for me, that's just, it's like, God, that sounds like something I had. And she got really sick too, like I did in January.
Yes,
and
you did not have it.
I know, but we were trading our illness stories, our virus stories.
Yeah,
and
viruses suck. I had H1N1. It
but
blew.
it's
It was
not.
terrible.
It's not that bad to have a sore throat in that. She didn't have to go to the hospital. She didn't take anything for it.
Right. Why? Because 99% of people her age.
Same with John Dudley. Same
Right.
thing.
That's right.
And but see that's annoying to me. I mean,
But I think that's why this is the problem. The reason people have stopped listening to their officials, and you guys tell me if this is true or not. Everybody knows people that have COVID now. Everybody. And the vast, vast, vast majority of people that know somebody and the vast majority of the people they know had very mild disease because that's the way the vast majority are affected by this virus, particularly if you're younger. You don't get sick. A very small percentage do, and even a smaller percentage get really sick. But you don't know those people. You're meeting all the people that do just fine.
This sounds just like what I had in January, which wasn't COVID-19, but it was something like it.
Right. That's right.
I felt like shit, but I got through it in 2 weeks. I felt tired for like a month, but I struggled through it and I lived. I didn't have to go to the hospital. I didn't have to go on a ventilator. I mean, there's certain people that would get the same thing I did in January and also have to go to the hospital. Because I felt terrible.
Right.
You got it too. I mean,
again, the problem is that a small percentage are going to get really, really sick, more so than influenza.
A small percentage.
It's a concern, and it's going to kill older people.
So if we inoculate all the old people and we all just get this little bug, then we get over it. And
Casey Gates had his MMR 2 months before the outbreak, and there's some evidence that the MMR vaccine may confer some cross-reactivity with COVID.
And I had one too, so maybe.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I wouldn't count on that. I wouldn't consider yourself immune, that's for sure. But it'd be interesting if you had some conferred immunity. And Andrew Ashkashvili wants to point out that there's lots of land for sale in Texas for us to come down and move.
Oh, really? Are people moving out?
No. There's just lots of land in Texas. Lots.
Well, that's where all the celebs are going. So not us.
Well, I used the UV wand after I've been vaccinated. Done 9977. Yes.
Did you use your UV wand?
I did use my UV wand.
Did you take pictures of yourself using it?
I did not. To me, using the eye wand, which is to me like my iPhone now. It's something that I always use, and it's something I'm going to continue using because when I travel, I get sick, and this is a way to prevent that. So I use UVC now. Be careful with it. It's bad for your eyes. Be very careful.
Don't point it at your eyes.
I'm working with a company.
Don't burn out your retinas.
I'm working with a company that makes these eye wands, and they are amazing. I use it constantly, and I really feel like I'm helping protect myself, not just against COVID. There's all kinds of stuff out there when you're my age waiting to get you. And on planes, I worry about it like crazy. And in airports, things like that. So I use a lot. That for sure is going to be my behavior going forward, is I'm going to be using UVC wands. Why not? They sterilize surfaces in 10 seconds.
Check it out at drg.com/iwand.
Oh, really? Is that where you have that?
Well, I had it. I don't know. Am I allowed to talk about it?
Yes, you can talk about it now.
Oh, thanks for letting me know. We should have.
I just realized it as I was thinking.
I should put a little banner up for it.
Yes, you should. Here it comes. She's going right to work.
You guys, nobody tells me anything.
I know. I didn't think of it. I'm not got that kind of head.
You gotta pull this information out and okay, here we go. I got it.
Oh, it went.
I made the link, and then you guys silenced me.
I know, but now we can. Oh, there you go.
See, look at that.
So that's an eye wand.
You can get it in pink or gray. It looks like
that is such a great. It's literal. I love this instrument. It changed everything for me because it's sturdy. It's metal, and it's just in my pocket all the time now. So yes, I do that. I do use that like crazy.
All right.
It really is. It's the iPhone of the UVC products. It's like, and they call it the eye wand. I thought, yep, I'm sold. That's it. I dig it.
Okay, so I'm allowed to talk about it.
Yes. You use it too, right?
Well, I haven't gone anywhere without you. I mean,
that's true.
I haven't been anywhere since we got back from. I went to the market though, and that was kind of harrowing at Thanksgiving. If I was going to get it, it would be there. The parking lot was packed.
Johanno Shinzato, I don't know what you're saying. You're talking about the mild illness your family had. Okay, I get it. I think that's what you're saying. All right, let's kind of wrap it up, Susan, if that's okay with you.
Okay, hold on.
You go with that? And yes? Hello?
Let me put the link on our Twitter just in case people...
Thank you, Counting Paranormal. My idea is, the whole point here is just to help navigate, to calm everybody down, to get sensible and navigate through this thing in safe ways that are still not adversely impacting our mental health or our physical health for that matter. And Jay's philosophy, I've not had COVID. No, I wish I had. I really do. I wish I'd had. I am struggling to get the vaccine. I talked to a doctor this morning that I did a podcast with, and he had just gotten the Johnson & Johnson vaccine as part of the phase 3 trial. And I thought, I got to get it. Hey, God, I'm so jealous. I have to
So we're
get in there.
definitely allowed to tweet this now.
Yep.
Okay.
You can talk about that.
I just put the link up if anybody forgets and they want to share it. Okay.
Okay.
This is why I get the big bucks.
All right, guys.
Wait, I'm going to see. Oh, no, I lost my chat. Sorry, you guys.
Are we going to get to come in tomorrow? Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
We can come in tomorrow because we're going to stay here and then.
I got to do Fox 11, so.
Okay.
All right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow around the same time, and thank you all for joining us. We'll see you then.